Hi, I'm Ray from PhoneArena, and you're watching our video comparison between the Apple iPad Air, which I have right here, and the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition. So smartphone manufacturers are leapfrogging themselves with every new generation of their products. And the same thing goes for their tablet endeavors. Every new top-shelf tablet is slimmer, lighter, and faster than the previous one, but there is a certain difference between how things stand in phones and tablets. While Apple is no longer the undisputed leader in the smartphone space, it still has a firm grip on the tablet market, where the iPad manages to remain on top of its mobile OS-powered opponents. However, one of the iPad's toughest opponents right now is the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014. Let's see how much of a gap there is between the two. The Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition isn't anything extraordinary in the design department. While it's respectably thin, it's still made of plastic and presents us with an odd back panel that has a pattern resembling leather. It's by no means bad, but it's just meh compared to the fancy aluminum build of the iPad Air. The Air is more compact than the Note 10.1, and it's also significantly lighter. This allows you to hold the iPad Air much more comfortably, regardless if you're using one or two hands. Obviously, the iPad Air can offer you a way more premium design of the two, and that also translates to the physical volume and power keys of the devices, which react better on the iPad. There is a small difference between the sizes of the displays of these two lovely tablets. The iPad Air's one measures 9.7 inches, while the Galaxy Note 10.1 is slightly bigger with its 10.1 inches. Resolution-wise, the iPad is quite a solid performer with its 2048 by 1536 pixels, but the Note 10.1 2014 takes things a couple notches further with its resolution of 2560 by 1600. Both look very clean and detailed, with the Note 10.1 being a bit better in this respect. We should also note that there is a substantial difference when it comes to aspect ratio. The iPad Air stays true to 4:3, which makes it more convenient for web browsing and reading, while the Note 10.1 has a 16:9 aspect ratio display that's more suitable for video playback. Outdoor visibility is good with both tablets. The brightness on both maxes out at about 430 nits, so neither really surpasses the other in terms of visibility. Inspecting both display panels positioned side by side, one of the first things that we notice is that the gamma of the Note 10.1 2014 is a bit off. Probably in its effort to deliver a more contrasty image, Samsung has darkened pretty much everything besides the brightest levels, the result of which is a slightly inaccurate image that actually seems a bit eye-catchier. The iPad Air doesn't appear so contrasty, but you can be sure that everything will look exactly as intended on its display. While both displays use LCD technology, the colors of the iPad Air are more realistic and well balanced, as those of the Note 10.1 2014 appear somewhat greenish in comparison. The Galaxy Note 10.1 2014's most unique feature is the S Pen stylus. Of course, you can get a capacitive stylus for the iPad Air, but it will be a much worse solution because the S Pen uses Wacom technology. It's very easy to write with and supports pressure sensitivity. If you fancy the ability to take handwritten notes or draw using a stylus, then this is the feature which should make you consider the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014. Equipped with iOS 7.03, the iPad Air comes with a fresh and cheerful UI, complementing its super intuitive user experience. The UI is way more simplistic than the TouchWiz interface of the Note, as it only presents you with a grid of app icons, and that's pretty much it as far as the home screen is concerned. There are also notification and control centers, as well as the new multitasking view, but to a large extent this is what you'll be limited to. On the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition, which is currently running Android 4.3 under the TouchWiz Nature UX, Things are considerably more complex as you're bombarded with all kinds of widgets, menus and alternative screens that start sliding in from all directions as soon as you power the display up. You can do a lot more with the home screen of this Android-powered tablet, but it will definitely take a while before you can really feel at home as you unlock your device. Besides its complexity, the fact that there are dozens of settings within almost every app doesn't help either. With its A7 64-bit SoC, the Apple iPad Air is running buttery smooth, which makes for an overall great experience. The A7 comes packing the dual-core Cyclone CPU that's clocked at 1.4 GHz. It's complemented by the PowerVR G6430 GPU. In contrast, the Note 10.1 2014 sports the Snapdragon 800 with quad-core 2.3 GHz Crate 400 CPU and Adreno 330 GPU. On paper, the Note 10.1 seems much beefier, however, in reality its TouchWiz UI suffers from some very visible lag and slowdowns. RAM amount stands at 1GB for the iPad Air and 3GB for the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition. Once again, it seems as if the Note 10.1 should fly with this kind of internals, but it's actually very easy to make it stutter under the load of just a few apps. Storage space can be 16, 32 or 64 GB with the iPad Air. The same goes for the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition, but as we said earlier, it also features support for microSD cards, so it does give you a bit more flexibility in this area. Samsung has loaded the Note 10.1 with its own internet browser, which is pretty fast indeed, although Safari on the iPad Air is even faster and more responsive. Nevertheless, it is a pleasure to browse the internet on either of these two tablets, especially since their large, high-resolution screens can make entire web pages readable without us having to zoom in on them. Connectivity-wise, both the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition and the iPad Air come in multiple variants, an option for those who need only Wi-Fi to go online and a 3G 4G model for the people who need to be constantly connected to the internet. We must note that while all Note 10.1 models have a built-in GPS radio, the Wi-Fi only iPad Air doesn't have one, relying solely on Wi-Fi network data to provide positioning information. The area which allows the iPad to keep being the undisputed leader in the tablet space is the software catalog. With over 475,000 tablet-optimized apps available in the App Store, there's much more to choose from compared to the tablet offerings in the Google Play Store. Well, what do you know? Both the Galaxy Note 10.1 and the iPad Air can take decent photos and video with their main cameras, given the right lighting conditions, of course. The former comes with an 8-megapixel autofocus camera and a bright LED for illuminating low-light scenes, while the latter packs a 5-megapixel autofocus snapper which lacks flash, unfortunately. Upon launching the camera app on the Note 10.1, we are presented with a familiar, feature-rich user interface. It offers many of the options we've already tried on the Galaxy Note 3 and the Galaxy S4, such as the built-in filters and a multitude of shooting modes, HDR, panorama, night, and so on. Neither camera is as capable as what you can find on top-shelf smartphones these days, but you'll still be able to snap some decent pics. For the most part, pictures taken with both look very similar, with almost equal color tones and exposure. We do notice that in some shots, though, the Note 10.1 2014 manages to keep colors a tad more natural, as the iPad Air shows a bit of a tendency to slightly warm things up. The area where the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 manages to gain the advantage is details, as its 8-megapixel resolution allows it to capture a bit more data about the surrounding world compared to the iPad Air. The situation is about the same when shooting indoors, where the Note 10.1 2014 also has the benefit of the LED flash, as such is missing from the iPad Air. Both tablets record video in 1920 by 1080 pixels, and while the iPad Air's footage appears to run more fluidly, the one from the Note 10.1 has a slightly higher detail level. The Note 10.1 is equipped with a 2-megapixel front-facing camera, but it takes much worse photos than the 1.2 megapixel front-facing shooter of the iPad Air. When it comes to video playback, we would rather use the Note 10.1. It handles any popular video file format at up to 1080p resolution and it plays it smoothly. Moreover, its screen aspect ratio is more suitable for watching high-definition video in widescreen format. There is a pair of stereo speakers on the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014. Their output is passable but nothing special in terms of quality. The iPad Air also has stereo speakers, though their close positioning practically eliminates the stereo effect. However, they do sound drastically better than the Note 10.1 2014 speakers, especially on the lower end of the spectrum. Despite being a lot thinner than its predecessor, the iPad Air has kept the same wonderful battery life that will keep it powered on for quite a while. It's an 8820 mAh battery unit inside that is non-removable, of course. The battery of the Note 10.1 is slightly smaller with its 8220 mAh, and it's also sealed, meaning that you cannot replace it. Overall, the iPad Air seems to fare visibly better in terms of battery life due to both the larger capacity and the more optimized operating system. At the end of this tough and heavy fight, the iPad Air has managed to reinforce its position as the leading mobile tablet available on the market. With its wonderful design and blazing fast performance, it really has no weak spots in comparison with the rest of the offerings on the market, and that includes the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 2014 edition. Samsung's tablet is a fine gadget with a lot of capabilities, and it will prove to be quite useful if you're really into TouchWiz Android and the S Pen stylus. But if that's not the case, then we see no reason why you should pick this one instead of the iPad Air, which can offer you so much more entertainment and productivity courtesy of its richer application ecosystem.